What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
Time to talk Saints like we do every Tuesday morning with our guy Nick Underhill from New Orleans Football. We said in the last segment, man, you've kind of built a small army over there at NOF. Great coverage, very expansive coverage, not just from you, but Mike Triplett. Brooke has been an awesome addition. You guys are killing it, man. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you, man. We're doing the best we can, trying to create the best fan experience for Saints fans. And, I think so far so good. Just happy to have football back. They'll be out in camp, have some real stuff to talk about. So it's been a good week.
Yes, sir, it has. And I'm a very happy subscriber to NOF. That being said, speaking of training camp, Nick, they are in pads this week. This will be the second day of padded practice. To you, who covers this in such extensive detail, what's the main difference between pads at training camp and just being in shells or underwear with helmets, as Dennis Allen called it?
Yeah, there's definitely a heightened level of competitiveness, and it just adds a little bit more credence to the things you're seeing too. If you think someone's playing well, it's just kind of like, well, I don't know if it's real. I don't know if I can really lean into this too much. And I think Kendrick Miller is kind of a great example of that. Like, he was flashing a lot during the first few days of practice, but without contact, it's kind of tough to know. And still, even with pads and a little bit of contact, there's no tackling to the ground. So there's a little bit of giving up on some of these plays, but you see him running through contact now, and there's that burst and elusiveness, and it's translating to a heightened level of competition. So you feel a little bit more comfortable, like, hyping the guy up a little bit. And look, he's kind of been one of the stars of camp to me. And, it's the same thing wide receiver and cornerback as well. Like, you see the one-on-ones now, and there's a little bit of fighting through what contact, you can have at those positions, but there's a little bit more physicalness. And yesterday we saw a really, really standout play from Lattimore. He was covering Mike Thomas, breaks down on a slant, and just he can play through it and break that pass up. And you just see a little bit more, clearly where he's at in his camp. And I mean, if we're talking about stars of camp, Marshawn's been targeted 6 times in 5 practices in team drills. He's only given up 1 catch. I think he's playing better than he ever has at this time of year, and that's been exciting to see too.
Yeah, I want to ask you about Lattimore since you mentioned it there. Some people are saying that it's maybe the best training camp he's ever had, and this is arguably already the best cornerback in Saints history. I tell people all the time, I think people kind of underestimate the effect of Lattimore missing 9 games last season. He came back towards the end. He had that pick 6 against the Eagles. I think you'll really see his impact during the field, on the field during the season. How would you describe, you did a little just there, but expanding, how would you describe the camp that he's had so far?
Yeah, if we're talking about people saying it's his best training camp, I'm definitely part of the people equation.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's unquestionably been his best start to camp. And, that's kind of an easy statement to make. I know this time of year, like, we're often hyping up everything and everybody's getting hyped over the top, but Lattimore used to, I think the way he practiced was poor, like, early in his career, and it's something he talked about himself. So I don't think I'm just throwing anything out there. Like, he used to talk about how he didn't like the practice, like he wasn't excited for it. He'd be like, training camp's long. There were times we'd be out there watching practice, and when Aaron Glenn was here, like, they'd kind of be going back and forth because, like, Glenn was trying to get him hyped up, and Lattimore just kind of was doing his thing, and he could kind of just show up and play and succeed and practice the way he practiced and be one of the best corners in the league. But I think as he's gotten deeper into his career, the last 2 years, like, I think there's been a major change in the way he kind of approaches practice. There's an intensity to it. There's a something closer to game level from him, and I think we're definitely seeing that out here. Like, the competitiveness from him is top notch, and I think that's going to be a huge thing to help get Michael Thomas back to where he needs to be. Like, last year we went to Green Bay, and Mike goes into those practices, and you could just tell that maybe the competitiveness and just how hard they were going at him was a little bit different than he was seeing at the home practices, and there was an adjustment period to that, and he got there, and once he got into the season, I think he was fine, but there was still like kind of like a little bit of shaking off the rust. I think having that level of competition from Lattimore every single day is going to help him find and tap into that competitiveness that he's going to need play after play, day after day to succeed when the regular season starts. And it's just a great look for him. But Marshawn playing at that level, if he's doing that, he goes into the season, he's healthy, that makes everything better. Now, like, I think the questions we have about the pass rush, get alleviated a little bit because he's going to buy them a little bit more time to get after the quarterbacks. I just think when he's top-notch playing at his best, it's a different defense. And, I think we all see that. Like, if he's at that Mike Evans level every single week, like, they're going to be a much better team because of it.
Man, it's so entertaining when those two guys go up against each other, not just during the play, but post-snap as well. Love to hear the update on Lattimore. Nick Underhill is our guest, New Orleans.football. We talk to him every Tuesday. Nick, what is the significance of the injury to Andres Pete, and what does that mean for Calaveri, the fourth-round draft pick that maybe wasn't going to play as much at first? Will he kind of be forced into action? What's the significance of this injury to Pete?
I don't think it's a major injury. DA called it a quad strain yesterday. I spoke to a source that isn't with the team, and they said the same thing, quad strain, not a major deal. So he might miss a little bit of time, but I don't think it's going to be like a huge lingering issue. It's interesting, though, because I think Pete was I think he is kind of fighting for his job right now. I think if there's a very, very serious competition between him and James Hurst for that guard position. And, I don't know that Pete has the standing that we're used to him having with the team. Like, he took a pay cut this offseason. I don't think he's guaranteed anything at this point. And if we're going to, run down a list of guys that can at least afford to be hurt and miss time and kind of give way in a competition, I think he's kind of right at the top of that list. So I don't know if he's the penciled-in starter right now. I could see it definitely being somebody else, and I think that would be Hurst at the top of that. You mentioned Saliveri. I think this allows him to get some better looks, and as they're evaluating it, maybe he gets some more exposure and they learn a little bit more about him, and it changes his standing on the depth chart. But there could be a domino effect here for sure. But I think this is a bad break for Pete, and I wouldn't be totally surprised if his trajectory changes a little bit if someone has the opportunity to kind of step up while he's out.
Interesting. Going to the other side of the football and talking about the D-line for a moment, Nick, tell me what you think about the rookies so far. Breesy has had some good moments, kind of hard to evaluate right now. I know maybe a little easier with pads, but it was interesting that you wrote that Foskey had some iffy moments during the team drills. Foskey is somebody I'm optimistic about. We've been talking about it on the show with Jake. Apparently his run defense isn't really up to speed for him to contribute that much as a rookie. But in my head, I see his stats at Notre Dame. I see his measurables, and I think he can contribute really fast. But apparently he maybe still has some work to do before we get to the season. Breesy has had some high and low moments reportedly. How would you describe how the rookie defensive linemen look at camp so far?
Yeah, I think Breesy's been a quicker study a little bit, and he flashes a little bit more. And I think Foskey's going to take maybe a little bit of time, like you said. And I think that's expected. Breezy, if he hadn't had all this off-field stuff during his time at Clemson, I think that he gets drafted a lot higher. His sister passed away. He had health issues, and it was just kind of he never kind of was able to get his footing and just kind of take off and go and just have football be at the forefront. There was always kind of, something else pulling away at that a little bit. And I don't think talent, ability, or anything like that was ever the question. It was just kind of, can he clean this stuff? Well, not clean's the wrong word, but can this off-field stuff alleviate a little bit and allow him to shine? And I think that's probably going to happen in the NFL, and I think we've seen it, right away, kind of that talent level. Foskey was someone at Notre Dame who succeeded a lot off of athleticism, and I think when you watch him, it's just kind of, he needs to add some stuff to his repertoire, his rush plan. He's kind of become a little bit more of a polished, calculated pass rusher. And I think that's just going to be a little bit of a process. It's nothing I'm really concerned about, right now. I think there's going to be ways for him to get on the field. And I think he's probably going to pick stuff up and get going. And I think, yesterday's kind of day one of real pass rush stuff, real run defense stuff, where he can go out on the field. Oh, this didn't actually work against somebody, that's allowed to actually put their hands on me and block me. How do I counter that? How do I adjust to that? So I think it was just day one of a process that's going to need to take its time. I'm high on him. I think he's eventually going to be a good player. It's just we're 5 days into camp, so every little snippet kind of becomes pulled out into a whole snapshot, but we really don't have all the pieces of the picture yet.
Fair enough. These reps are very important for the first-year players. They were for Chris Olave last season, and he turned it into a hell of a rookie year. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, Nick. We've talked so much about Mike Thomas, and rightfully so. If he's healthy for the Saints, he can make such a big difference, and he can make you, go from a non-playoff team to a contending team that can maybe make some noise in the postseason. But I was really impressed with Chris Olave last year, man. 1,000 yards. He was only the third rookie in Saints history to put up 1K as a rookie, joining Marcus Colston and Michael Thomas. Flirted with breaking Michael Thomas's rookie receiving yards record, and that was in kind of a chaotic offense with some quarterback play that was subpar compared to what he's going to see this year, hopefully. So what did you like from Olave as a rookie? And in your opinion, what does he need to do to take that next step in his NFL career?
Yeah, I mean, I like pretty much everything about him. The rookie season, I mean, the route running was just unbelievable for a rookie player. And I mean, that's not going to get better. And I think he was already like at a top tier level with it. And, you know, the only thing that I think he really needed to do was get a little bit stronger. And you can look at him and see that he's added bulk, muscle, all that stuff. It's not like over the top. He's still a lean guy, but there's just muscle mass there that wasn't necessarily there last year. I think that's going to allow him to play through contact a little bit better, be a little bit better on contested catches. We've seen a little bit of that. Yesterday was day one in pads again, so that's a continued evaluation. But I think there is a noticeable difference with just kind of that play strength already. He has that to it. I mean, I think he has, and I'm not saying he's going to be Stephon Diggs or anything like that, but I think he has Stephon Diggs type upside. I really think that's there, and I don't think it's an outlandish statement. Like he had the numbers last year. If he adds that last piece to it and he completes, you think about how many catches he had where he went to the ground last year and like he didn't hold on to the ball. If he completes those catches, I mean the numbers go up, significantly without even changing anything else. And I think he's going to become a better player. He's going to have a better quarterback. There's going to be a better supporting cast around him. I think Mike's presence, assuming he's healthy, helps take off some of that coverage a little bit. You kind of got to watch him underneath, and that's going to open stuff up over the top for Chris. I just think the opportunities are going to be significantly better. And, like you said, the quarterbacks, Andy Dalton to Derek Carr is a significant upgrade. And there's a lot that I think Carr still has to prove, particularly like under pressure and all that stuff. But in those clean moments, good pocket, like he throws a much better ball. Like the downfield stuff we're seeing in camp, it's different than what they had on the field last year with Dalton. And, I just think that the opportunity is there for him to be really, really good. I think if everything clicks for him, I mean, there's legitimate superstar potential with that player.
I agree with you. Just a couple more for you, Nick. We'll let you head off to practice. I was really happy for Zach Wood, man. I saw you report the new contract that he got. The longtime long snapper for the Saints gets $2.3 million guaranteed on a 4-year contract. And his story of coming here was kind of crazy. The Saints had signed a different player. They uncovered a heart condition for that player. They had to let him go. Then they brought in like 4 or 5 guys to try out pretty much. Zach Wood made the team. And you chart this kind of stuff. You would know maybe better than me, but I don't remember one single bad snap from Zach Wood since he's been the starting long snapper for the Saints. How would you describe his work so far, and how happy should Saints fans be that they locked up their long snapper?
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I mean, until maybe like last year with the missed field goals or whatever, their special teams are kind of like a model of consistency. The punting wasn't really great last year either, but that has nothing to do with the snapper. It's interesting though. Like Zach was talking this week, and he said that he was screwing up the snaps like his first couple of years in the league, and Lutz was just so consistent with his kicking that he was able to just continue to make his kicks, and it covered up a lot of the stuff with the operation. But I think that's getting into like the really granular details where they want the ball snapped like a very specific way. There's X amount of rotation, so it's caught and planted, and like, the details with that stuff is, we take it for granted, but I think it's probably, one of the harder things to do on a consistent basis. But, I agree. I never really even have had to think about Zach Wood, and that's the greatest compliment you can give, a long snapper. Like if you're just kind of not noticing him, he's really, really doing his job. But yeah, I can't remember one going over like the holder's head or there's maybe been a couple that are like low, but they're salvageable. I can't remember anything that ever stood out like negatively about that operation the last few years.
Great highlight package, too, from the social media team and Alex Restrepo.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoy the long snapping highlights. Nick, we'll get you out of here on this one. Talk to me about Jake Haener. People that are at training camp say that he's looked really good. Don't want to get too excited. Doubt he plays at all as a rookie, but apparently he's looked really good out there.
I think out of all the developmental guys that they've brought in here, and, you can run down the list, Garrett Grayson, Ian Book, there was another guy from Green Bay they had in here for a little bit that wasn't never amounted to any, Callahan. Taysom Hill even. I think if you just go down that list, like he looks a lot better than any of these other guys. Like I'm more excited about him than I have been about anyone through a week. Like when Grayson was here, it was kind of like, is he going to be able to make the team? Like those are the conversations we were having on the sideline. Painter's just like come in, been confident, commanded the offense. He doesn't look scattered. He doesn't look scared. He's making throws. He looks good going down the field. I have been incredibly impressed by him through the first week of camp.
Love to hear it. Nick Underhill giving us some perspective as he does every Tuesday regarding the New Orleans Saints. Nick, we appreciate the time as always. Enjoy practice, my friend.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.